This episode is sponsored by our friends over at Airbnb. If you're itching for your next weekend getaway, remember some trips are better in an Airbnb. Now let's get this thing going. It's really too much because, like I told you, you cannot come to my show and outbeat me, honey. This face, this hair, these titties.
You mean to tell me I broke free of the Matrix to get in the Matrix again?
Heavy on the Matrix. I love that you brought that up.
Well, girl, in order for you to be a real woman, you need to have in order for you to be pretty, you got to have 5 or 10 surgeries. No, I'm a real transgender woman. And not only am I a real transgender woman, I'm a part of a divine feminine system, regardless if I have a male anatomy or not, sweetie.
Okay, so Sharon, I'm excited to talk about this with you because obviously anything and everything can be commercialized.
Yes.
And it makes me think about actually the movie Edward Scissorhands. You remember Edward Scissorhands?
Yes.
As a kid, I was kind of like, okay, the motherfucker got scissor hands. Excuse me. but then as time went on, and obviously a couple of Reddit threads, I realized that it was actually about the commodification of uniqueness or just being you, being different, standing out, and how at first you can be, people can come at you for being whoever you are or whatever your culture is. And then very quickly it can become like, ooh, I love it.
Right.
And kind of, speaking to like what is the fine line of not necessarily just commercializing something, but making something making something normalized because it's important.
Right.
Especially when we're talking about communities where people are marginalized, being killed, being hurt, etc.
Right.
The commercialization of it sometimes makes it feel more relatable. People are educated, they can understand more.
Right.
But then also it could create this thing where everybody's just like, I'm in it. And it's like, where do you draw the line?
Fad, yeah.
Like a fad or appropriation or, you know what I'm saying?
Of
So
course.
I'm curious from you, what it's been like witnessing the commercialization of just blackness. I know that was a big one.
Well,
but...
I've been black my whole life.
Really?
So, I mean, obviously I've seen the fads and the trends and, they come and go. And it's just, it's kind of funny. When I was in high school, it was the era of Michael Jackson and Prince. So you had, a lot of people trying to emulate Michael Jackson.
A lot of heels and high waters.
Yes, and a lot of Prince and all this kind of stuff. And it's funny to watch it, but it's also flattery, right? You know?
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because once something becomes popular, it becomes commercialized.
Yeah.
Once it becomes
and it blurs the line.
Yeah. Like, when you think about a movie like Dear White People, they talk about that a lot in that movie. If you remember that movie.
I do.
Where they kind of just speak about anytime your culture or you living your truth of who you are and it becomes popular, whether it's you doing a movie or you doing a video that goes viral or anything, it then becomes something that everybody has access to and everybody feels a part of. And I think that's where people kind of are confused of like, well, what exactly is appropriation? Because if it's out there and I see it and then I want to be a part of it, what makes it a problem? So it's just like the conversations that people have around somebody wearing braids and not being black or somebody doing rap music and not being black.
Right.
What, because don't you want everybody to love rap music or be a part of it, or do you not?
Well, this was huge in my generation. There was a model, her name was Bo Derek. I'll never forget, she wore the French braids, blonde French braids, and they had this famous commercial where she's coming out of the water and she's shaking her French braids. That caused the most drama in our community because it was like, we've been doing that for years. Braiding our hair, putting beads on, and nobody gave a shit about us. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it was still a big thing when they called, I forget what the hell the old girl called them, but it became a thing where the new name was boxer braids or something. Everybody's, what the hell, them's cornrows. And so, I mean, it's still a thing where people feel that
when you
way.
Get it, you try to change the name. So that was a big moment in my teenage years for that. Also, I would say, doom, 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 doom.
Oh!
Doom, 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 doom. Ice, baby.
Doom, doom.
Oh, my God.
Come on.
I don't know if anybody
That song was a hit.
That song was a hit. But it was like, black people was in uproars about that because they was like, what the?
Yeah.
This guy came out of nowhere, got the biggest song ever, and he's looking like, Vanilla Ice. He's looking. So that was a big uproar as well. But you know who wasn't an uproar? And I think it's because she really did play the part very well, was Madonna.
Well, hey, honey, a lot of the queens, because I actually spoke about this when I did, when I did Legendary. And some of the girls were like, oh, no, we hate that. And so it's interesting because there's one, obviously everybody has a different POV, just like when we talking about with black people when it comes to, I care about somebody wearing braids to, I don't give a fuck who wears braids.
Right.
And then also with the queer community, some people are like, I love that Madonna shined a light. And then other people are like, Madonna put her name on something that wasn't hers. So it's very, everybody has a different opinion on how they feel about what it means to show love to to a culture.
Yeah.
And the way that you do it. Like, for instance, recently, Ariana Grande, let me tell you something about Ariana Grande. When I went to her 16th birthday party, huge birthday party, very dramatic, homegirl was on stage singing with Patti LaBelle.
All right now.
So Patty. She has always been.
Patty.
Ladies and gentlemen, Patti LaBelle. Girl, you're 16. Why is Patti LaBelle performing at your goddamn birthday party, boo? You know what I mean? But even to this day, the way her relationship with Victoria Monet and her obvious love for black culture.
Right. You feel there's an authentic.
I mean, she just did The Boy Is Mine and had, I remember I was in the car listening. It was The Boy Is Mine remix. And I'm listening, and all of a sudden I hear something change in the track. And I said, who the hell is that? Did Brandy got something new out? And they were like, this is Ariana. And so the remix of the song, she got Brandy and Monica reunited on the track, doing that vibe.
Right.
I really loved it. And again, for me, it was like, okay.
Well, she's just giving credit where credit is due.
Again, even when we think about Beyonce and Cozy and how the whole Renaissance was an ode to ballroom, you know, but she's not necessarily a part of ballroom. Right. But I think obviously, again, a lot of people had stuff to say about that. I think most people loved it and loved her shining that light. But then every now and then people were, oh, you didn't get it right, or you didn't, how do you do, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you can't please everybody.
You can't.
And I've said that to you, you know, all my kids, is that, you know, ultimately you just got to do what's in your heart. Be kind, be respectful, and then just go on and do what you're going to do, because there's going to always be somebody who got something to say, and you just can't play to the small people in the room.
But I even remember with me, you remember when I did Pimp and I was on set with Raimi, and she kept saying, that's the gag, girl.
Yeah.
And then I loved it so much that I kept saying, the gag is, the gag is, the gag is. And then I remember at the same time, I had seen the movie Paris is Burning. I think it was Rosero McCoy who had me watch that movie where the gag was first invented. And it was that thing where I remember some people were like, wait a minute, you know, what is this? This is from the community. This is, you know, need to know where it came from. And it's that thing of just always making sure, like, you want to show love, you want to represent, but you want to make sure you do it in a way where you're showing the proper respect.
Right. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because during that time when you were saying the gag and all this stuff, you know, there was a writer. He was a writer, a blogger, and he was purposely attacking you. And he was saying things like, why are you using our word? And why are you an influencer? That's what he basically said. He was like, you're a successful actor. You can get real jobs. We can't. And so why are you taking work from us? And I was like, this is a black girl who's trying to work just like you, sir. And she's not taking anything from you. The gag first originated during the Roaring 20s. You can go back and look at the Roaring 20s. They were saying the gag, and they were saying words like G-gats and all this type of stuff. So it wasn't originated when people think it was originated. It just was used in a different way. The word, the gag, was, you can go look in the Roaring 20s. They were using it then.
But it is true that the style in which that it was being used, I mean, obviously I was making it a little bit kooky, but the actual vibe of it, even with Raimi, it did come from ballroom. I was never in a denouncel of that. I just think I'm using it as an example to say that, like, sometimes you could just be showing love and being, you know, you are of the community in that world, so you're just using language that's natural to you.
And you weren't using it thinking it was going to get you no money.
Definitely not.
I'm going to use this word because it's going to get me money. And I mean, you was just having fun with it. And for people to attack you in that way, it just was just very weird to me.
I think it just goes to that thing of what we're talking about. I'm very excited to talk about with T.S. Madison, is the commercialization of marginalized groups, whether it be language or vibe or style. And I think that's a big thing where we don't know how to distinguish.
I'm just getting it when you just said what you said. They thought because you were a commercial entertainer, you were taking a phrase that was used in a marginalized community and using it for your benefit.
Well, yeah, and honestly, that actually is true. Even though that was not my intention, I am a Black woman that can use it and get light maybe in a way that they could not.
But I always thought you was marginalized.
Well, then there's that too.
So you was okay for you to use that word.
That's the conversation. Where do you draw the line? What is the line that's to be drawn? How is that? Because the same way that somebody's like, I was just wearing braids because I just love braids and my homegirl wore them and I love them, is the same way that you're saying, well, she was just saying the gag. They're not thinking about it like that. And so I think that is the conversation. What does it mean when culture becomes for everybody? And as a marginalized person, other people decide who gets to benefit from that language, from that style, from that vibe. And I think that's very huge where the trans community has been completely the most influence, you know what I'm saying, that we have seen always, but it's becoming more obvious and more apparent now. But not always are trans people, especially Black trans people, getting the stage.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so dope for people like T.S. Madison.
I agree with what you're saying. So my last question to you is, I think it's about intention.
Yeah.
So what was your intention whenever you used that's the gag?
Oh, I was just, I didn't initially even know about where it came from. I was using it with Raimi, who obviously Raimi, she knows, you know, so I was just working with her and I lived for the word, and so I was using the word. And then, you know, Rosero told me about Paris is Burning. I believe it was him, or it might have been Lee Daniels. Then I watched that movie and I was living for that and living for what I learned from it. And then at that point, I mean, I was just paying homage, and I was just also just saying the gag and just living in that. I wasn't necessarily thinking about the impact of it.
And you didn't have any, motives of making money and putting it on T-shirts and
no, absolutely not. But I do think, again, that is the thing where I think this is the question that we all ask ourselves when we're looking at stuff, or when you see people acting like Nene Leakes, how do Nene Leakes feel about that? You know what I mean? I don't know that everybody is definitely trying to be intentional, but that is the whole thing within the system, right? Systemically, people that are marginalized don't get to benefit from what they create. And I think that was the point of what was being made. Obviously, no, that wasn't my intention. And no, it's not my fault that I'm marginalized, that the queer community is marginalized, which I'm a part of. It's not anybody's fault that society has done this. But there is something to be said about how we are able to enjoy, celebrate, be a part of one another's culture, but also advocate for one another when it comes to us getting a stage. But I think that is the thing. When things become commercialized, who gets to benefit from that commerciality? And a lot of times, it's not the marginalized.
Drop the mic on that.
All right. Well, Sharon, let me get into it with TS. You're everything as always. All right, y'all, let's get into some vacation math for a hot second. Okay, so let's say we got 4 best friends who are all in desperate need of a reset and maybe a multi-day girlfriends marathon. To me, the solution is simple. A last-minute girls trip and an Airbnb, baby. Sometimes you just don't want to be cramped up in a room trying to get your rest and relaxation on. Trust me, some trips are just better in an Airbnb. Take my 30th birthday, for example. I just wanted to spend quality time with my girlies, and instead of us having to squeeze into a teeny tiny hotel room, we were able to book a local guest favorites listing that had a backyard, okay, listen closely, jacuzzi, and enough room for us all to sit back and get our gab fest on. Talk about an amazing birthday present. And the best part? The privacy. You know us Virgos need some peace and quiet every once in a while. And with Airbnb, I can make sure I am booking a place far away from prying eyes. So go ahead, book that last minute getaway and make some memories. Your friends will thank you later. Baby, this is Kiki. Guys, I am so excited to chat with today's guest. Okay, you might know her voice from the Beyonce song Cozy, or as one of the judges on RuPaul's Drag Race. She published a memoir in 2015 entitled A Light Through the Shade, an autobiography of a queen. And in 2021, she became the first Black trans woman to star in her own reality show, The T.S. Madison Experience. T.S., honey, welcome to the show.
Yes, Kiki, do you love me? Are we riding? Ooh.
every time I see you, it's really too much because, like I told you, you cannot come to my show and outbeat me, honey. This face, this hair, these titties, everything is giving me life.
Well, see, Kiki, you got to understand that when you are a girl, see, there's a difference between being a woman and then there's a difference being a girl. When you're a
Period.
girl, you have to stay beat, darling. Because you
Yeah.
got to. Because I'm into like, why be natural when you can be supernatural?
Ooh, and that's on period.
That's on
That's on
period.
period.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, before we get into everything I want to talk about, because I want to talk about that today, of course, but I want to first ask you, how you been? The last time I seen you was we were hosting the LGBTQ gala.
Yeah, and you had got the award. I was so happy to see you.
I was so happy. The Vanguard Award.
You deserved every bit of the award that you received.
Thank you.
People don't understand this, and I say this all the time. We just did a interview because RuPaul's Drag Race season 16 was nominated for an Emmy.
Okay, period.
It was nominated for an Emmy with 10 Emmy
That
nominations.
Emmy
And
being
so-
within hand reach is everything. That Emmy was like boom.
Yes. And so what happens is in the climate that we're in right now, Kiki, legislation and the way the government
Yeah.
is rolling is trying to erase people of the LGBT community, even those that are deeply into it and those that are adjacent. And so people have to understand that your presence and your visibility is your advocacy and activism because
Yeah.
they want to erase your presence. And so when we have people who say, well, hey, I'm queer. I can't figure it all the way out, like what it is, but I know that I'm not in the regular arena.
Yeah, I'm not what you're saying and considering as normal, quote unquote. I'm not.
Yeah. So and that's a part of being visible, being big and letting other people know, hey, it's okay to be exactly who you are and live in exactly who you are and be outside of what people consider the norm.
That's right. I couldn't agree with that more. And I do think it's obviously we're still up against so many different things, but when we talk about drag culture or the trans community or just the queer community in general, a lot of that has become more commercialized. And I'm curious as to what you think, obviously being one of the people that have put it in the forefront in that way and allow people to see it in a way that maybe they hadn't before. How do you feel about the commercialization? How much do you think that is helping? And how much do you think that it is also kind of like maybe almost, I don't even know what the word would be, but I don't want to say hurting, but making it a challenge at the same time? Not just being a surface thing, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, it's just like fame. It's a gift and it's a curse. The more visible you are, the more vocal you are, the more it calls to action for people to come out and be exactly who they are. But it also can put people who are more vulnerable in danger. Like as a star, I'm on television, I'm on some radio, some stuff. Like I'm on a lot of things, right? But there are other girls like myself that are not. And they are suffering in the background because, a lot of us are visible. But again, it's a gift and a curse, Kiki, because the more you have people saying, it's okay to be loud, louder than color. It's okay for you to live out loud. It's okay for you to be outside the box. It's okay. And the more people coming out, we still have more people like, you should be silent. And I do think that homophobia and transphobia stems from places inside of people that have internalized it and who have not been able to really release themselves into the world and show up in the world like everybody else has been showing up in the world. And they see you as a reflection of them, and it threatens them because they cannot walk authentically in their truth. And I'm not saying that everybody's gay or everybody's trans or everybody's trans attractive, but there is something about people living out loud that makes people who cannot feel a way. It doesn't matter what area of the spectrum you're on. When people are out loud and in color, there are people that are angry with that and they don't understand. Like, I don't understand why I'm mad at this person. I don't understand why I don't like this person. I don't understand why this person can do and say these things and still continue to walk in society unbothered, unfazed, unmoved. When I want to say this and I want to do this and I want to live like this and I can't.
Yeah, because bottom line, it's freedom. That's freedom.
Yeah.
Anytime that you are being yourself, you're always going to be different than what is considered the norm. The norm is not even a real thing. Let's put it there. That's just whatever society has created. That's the symbolic nature of what we live in the earth. The truth
Right.
is whoever you are and whatever you're bringing to this world. But we've been
Yes.
so boxed in that, when people see other people living in their truth and living free, they're afraid.
Yeah.
But I want to know how you got to that point to be who you are today. Like, let's think back from when you were a kid. What was if you even had any connection to trans culture, drag culture, like what was what, were you around it or did you find it? Did it find you?
Well, see, it found me. It found me because my soul was searching for a place to fit. When you grow up in a house where you're raised in the church, because I was raised in the church. My mom, listen, I've been a church queen, honey, since I was 7 years
Okay.
old.
Yes.
I've been a church queen girl, honey, and I'm being respectful on the podcast because I would have said I've been a church sissy girl since I was 7 years old. And you don't understand it, you don't know what it is, but you're around all of these other people, and it's just like, why is everybody following the same pattern? Like, why is everybody following the same? I don't feel like this. This is not
Yeah.
me. I don't fit into this box, and I'm not going to force myself to fit in the box. It was when I turned 18, like, because I've been transitioning since I was around about 17. Like, I know because it starts here. You have to know in your
Yeah.
mind, like, I have brothers, I got boy cousins, I'm not them.
Mhm.
We not the
Mhm.
same. I don't, even in conversation, we're not attracted to the same thing. I'm like, what's that? Like,
Right.
I'm feminine. So like
Yeah.
I'm not into that macho mass stuff. I'm only into that when it's time to be a protector of myself,
Yeah.
But I got to a space that I had to stand in the mirror and say, all right, look, who you gonna do this for? Who you gonna make happy? You or people around you that you don't know if they're really happy or not?
Now, heavy on you don't even know if they're happy or not, because if they're
You
not
don't
happy
even
or not,
know
they
if
don't
they're
even know how
happy
to,
or not.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so this is why I'm so deeply at peace within myself right now, because no, my life is not perfect. It hasn't always been the best, but it's life. But I do know that I'm walking through this world and walking through this earth. And people be like, oh, well, you're not scared of God. No, I love God. And God has
And
heard
God
me in
loves
every,
you.
and he loves me. And he's
Yeah.
heard me in every single moment of my life path, talking to him, her, it, they, them, whatever is God's identity
Yes.
is, have heard me speaking to them and saying, God, if you get me through this, if you make me this way, I'm free. Like, I'm in your hands. Like, this is my life. You knew in my book, I said, if God knew the numbers of hairs on your head, you already knew what you created.
I love that you're saying this and speaking to this, because this is important. I don't know why people who love God think that God don't love everybody, just them. Why do you think that God only loved you? And why do you think that you are more perfect than anyone else to receive that love? When the whole point of it all is to be loved unconditionally by something. If we're not going to be loved unconditionally by each other, there is God that's going to love us unconditionally for who we are. So I really think it's important, what you're saying, because I don't like when people all of a sudden want to say someone's going to be hated or something. I had a friend of mine come to me and ask me about that. And I said, God loves you. Period. And it's not a
Yeah.
conversation that anybody else can speak on. And when people try to project their ideologies of God onto other people, it really burns me to the ground, because God is not a small thinker like you.
No,
Come on
he's
now.
not.
Get it
And
together.
God don't need your help to do a muck thing. He don't need your help to do nothing. He hung the moon, the stars. He spoke and it was. So he don't need you to do nothing. I respect everybody's beliefs because I want
Yeah.
people to, I respect everybody's beliefs, but I think that everybody's
Of course.
beliefs and everybody's belief system should be personal to them. I don't think that we should all be governed by everybody's beliefs. I think that they should be personal to you, personal to your family, and you should teach people in your family and your kids, hey, this is what we believe. There are other people that may not believe this. You may go out in the world, you may experience things in your life. The only thing that I require for you to do in whatever it is that you believe in is to love everybody around you and treat them respectfully. That's
Yeah,
it.
and everybody responds differently. Like, I grew up in the church. My mom grew up Baptist. She became Catholic when she married my dad. My dad is a deacon. I remember I had a conversation. I said, Dad, have you been seeing, like, what are your thoughts, when you're hearing about I'm getting the Vanguard Award? Are you up to date? Do you know what's going on? He said, yeah, I know what's going on. I said, so how do you feel about it? He said, what I'm supposed to feel about it. Everybody is everybody and everybody is loved. So if you're not saying, I can't relate to that. I'm here for everybody's beliefs, but if your belief system is based on shaming, hurting, beating, killing, making anybody else suffer, then I think you got to re-examine, because God is love. So just love
all day.
everybody. If you don't want to do certain things or be a part of certain things, okay, cool. That don't mean you have to hate it though.
Right.
That doesn't mean that.
I think what tends to happen in our community, as definitely our community as Black people, I think what tends to happen is people think that your attraction or your experience automatically defines your identity. Like it just
Yes.
automatically, like, oh well, like I find women attractive all the time. I find women beautiful. Like I told you when I said, "Girl, you is sickening, girl." Yeah, like gorgeous, and I find women attractive, but I'm not sexually attracted to them. But I don't know. Maybe I might have an experience. I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, I haven't. Well, I could. But does that make me straight all of a sudden, or does it make me gay? Or does it make me what? I think people have limited themselves to labels for so long that they have boxed themselves in, and they have shut themselves out from two things: one, real happiness; two, their true soulmate.
Yes.
There's a woman out there right now whose soulmate is another woman, but because she wants to live by societal norms, that she's subjected herself down, and she's with a man that's not good for her. There's a man out there who possibly is in love with a trans woman or in love with another man or whatever it is, and they don't know how to act or move on that type of stuff because they don't want to be physically.
I love what you're saying, and I think that the queer community, we speak about this a lot, where it's even like obviously you want the labels and the definitions, because we're trying to, when people talk about the gay agenda, whatever you're saying is to stop people from getting murdered, killed, slaughtered, and harmed. Okay?
Yeah.
We need to educate you. We need you to understand this. We need this to be a normalized thing so that y'all can stop killing motherfuckers. That's the only agenda that exists. Now, having said that, within that is then the whole thing of all of the stuff within the community, where it's like, okay, I remember one of my homeboys, he's been gay all his life, but then he fell in love with a trans man. He was like, now, wait a minute, what does that mean for me? You know what I mean? How does that, and I'm like, he was like, I loved him so much, but I just felt like I couldn't date him because that didn't match like that. And I'm like, but wait a minute. But if that's what you felt, you don't have to now then be solely defined by what you think gay is. You know what I mean? As a man, you don't have to then only solely do that. And then there's the whole thing with like, I've never gone by non-binary, but all my life, I felt like people hated me because the qualities that I had was what is stereotypically for a man. And there's a big part of me that has always felt like, well, I just want you to don't call me nothing then, because I don't want you to then judge me and say I'm not woman enough because I'm not enough feminine, or I'm not enough that, or I'm not enough this. And it's like, it's this big rejection to all of the labels, but then at the same time, you're trying to figure out how to define, to explain. And so it's like, it ends up becoming so stressful. Then you have to prove, and then you feel like you're not doing enough to prove. And then you want, it's like, how do I find my community? How I feel safe in my community? I think those are a lot of the things that people are always trying to figure out and understand about themselves, when really all we want to do is be free. Everybody just want to be themselves. They don't want to be harmed. They don't want to be hated. They want to be loved. They want to have a community they can go to. They don't want to be questioned when they decide to do something different or go another way, or, you know what I mean? It's tough.
Now, but then you also have to look at when you're in the community, just like you said, your gay friend fell in love with a trans man. Now you're inside the community, and the community's telling you, hey, well, you ain't supposed to do that because you're supposed to do this. And it's like, you mean to tell me I broke free of the matrix to get in the matrix again?
Heavy on the matrix. I love that you brought that up, because very much we're fighting against the symbolic and the real. The real is who we are and how we feel, and the symbolic are the systems that we can't escape here. And it's like, how do you feel, because you are a leader of the community, and you're someone that helps to put words to this stuff. How do you move forward? You know what I mean? When it comes to, boom, all this freedom, the community is being more talked about, people are being more educated, but damn, now we done imprisoned ourselves in another label system.
Well, again, advocacy is based off of visibility and presence. And you have to be present in all aspects of it. I'm in my community. I hold my community accountable. Like, girl, like,
Mm-hmm.
don't come in here telling me that I can't like this or I can't be this. We just broke free from this. Like, we just broke the chains of, heteronormative ideology. Now we outside of that. So now we're not going to get into this thing now where you're going to tell
Yeah.
me or tell other people. I'm telling you, if you're going to be free all the way around. Respect everybody else's versions of individuality.
Yeah.
Freedom is attached to each person's own individuality, like your own individual perception or
Yes.
presence of being free.
How do you maintain that while also feeling like you've created a community for that, right? Because I think that's why people feel like sometimes that they do have to choose a side or stay in a consistent way because they don't want to feel alienated within their community. How do you feel like you do both? Like, how do you be free but still be a part of something?
Well, what I do is okay, here's like, for example, I can give you a candid example. I'm a Black transgender woman. I stand 10 toes down on I don't want a sexual reassignment surgery. I remember back in the day, like they would tell us back in the day, like, well, in order for you to be a real transsexual, you gotta go get out there and get a pussy. You gotta go have a sex change in order for you to be a real
I'm not laughing.
trans.
It's the way you're doing it.
Yeah, because that's what they used to do to us, And there's so many people, and we start talking about people who, like, because I know you gonna pick this up.
Yeah.
We start talking about people who go through these processes now in their brain of like, oh, I want to detransition. Because the people around them are pressuring, well, girl, in order for you to be a real woman, you need to have in order for you to be pretty, you got to have 5 or 10 surgeries. In order for your boobs got to sit up like this. In order for you to be real. So, and you're listening to this stuff all around you, and you lose yourself trying to become this thing that everybody is supposed to accept, when acceptance starts within yourself first. I tell people from the door, hey, y'all, I'm T.S. Madison. I got titties at the top, dick at the bottom. Hi, y'all, both shout out. God bless me at the bottom, honey, and he blessed the doctor to add it to the top. Hallelujah.
Period.
And so that's the way I lead in. I lead in with people like, and if this is something that you can't rock with, we can't rock, because I'm not going to be listening to you tell me, well, girl, you're not I'm a real transgender woman. And not only am I a real transgender woman, I'm a part of a divine feminine system, regardless if I have a male anatomy or not, sweetie. When we scream out, you're a man, you're a man. No, I was born male, but I'm not a man. That's a big difference. I was born male, but I'm not a man, sweetie.
Period.
And I will not allow anyone to convince me of anything otherwise.
Yeah, but the real tea is that's obviously very loved. Like, people can say whatever they want to say, but you're a beautiful woman, you're wanted, and you spoke about having experience with sex work in the past.
Yes.
I'm curious of how the conversation around sex work, it has changed. Like, I mean, now it's not even, there's still stigma, but people are way more open with it now than they were before. I'm curious of how you think you already got something to say, so go.
Girl,
I'm ready to hear this.
Listen, let me tell you something. The pandemic showed people exactly what it's like to have to survive.
Okay.
The pandemic showed people exactly what it was like to have to survive. Girl, let me tell you something. I've seen so many people on OnlyFans, people's privates I never wanted to see.
Okay. A lot of feet too.
I could go all my way without you. I didn't need to see that, girl. Feet, cocks, balls, booty holes. I'm like, girl.
Okay.
But this is the thing. When there was no income rolling in, they really understood the pressures of people who were really out there that were ostracized outside of a regular community. Now they got to understand. Maybe they probably didn't even think how we had to survive. Y'all threw us out there. Y'all say, okay, y'all trains and y'all things is outside of the community, out of the straight community. Y'all got to go over there. It's like, how are we gonna eat? How are we gonna work? How are we going to survive? You don't want us at your jobs. You don't want us at your places. So how are we going to work? So you turn to the oldest thing. Now the pandemic comes around. Girl, everybody got an OnlyFans. Everybody. All the straight people I ever seen, I'm like, girl, how you got? I don't want to see that, girl. I don't want want to see that?
Nah, I don't want to see that girl, okay? Whatever she had, you didn't want it.
I want it. And I'm talking about the men. Girl, I didn't want to see that girl.
Please.
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
Ooh, I've got some seriously exciting news to share with y'all. Audible has just dropped their best of 2024 picks, and let me tell you, this list got some heavy hitters on it, y'all. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm always on the hunt for the freshest, most compelling titles out there on the market. And baby, Audible has really outdone themselves this year. From edge-of-your-seat dystopian dramas to swoon-worthy romances, they've got it all. Take, for instance, an almost unbelievably star-studded production of George Orwell's 1984. It's a true masterclass in audio storytelling that both honors the original and breathes new life into it. And if you're looking for a little heart-fluttering romance, you gotta check out Emily Henry's Funny Story. It's the perfect blend of humor and passion. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, my lovelies. Audible's Best of 2024 also features some of the year's most powerful memoirs, like Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's Lovely One, as well as cutting-edge fiction from authors like Kristen Hanna and Percival Everett. This collection has something for everyone, so you definitely don't want to miss out on the best Audible has to offer. And remember, there's more to imagine when you listen. Go to audible.com/best of the year and discover the year's best waiting for you. You are probably one of the most viral people ever. I mean, you could do anything. That you're just going viral every other day.
Oh, God.
Did you always want to be famous? Did you always see yourself being an advocate or an activist? Like, how did this come to you?
Well, Keke, I always knew I was going to be a star. I always knew it.
I know that's right.
Like, I didn't know when. I didn't know how. I knew it. I always knew. I remember me sitting on the floor. I tell this story all the time of me. I was 14 years old, and I was sitting on the floor, and I heard a voice when RuPaul was on TV. You better work. Turn to the left.
Work it, girl.
Turn to the right.
Do your
Sexy.
thing. Smile for
Sure
the
day.
camera. Yes! RuPaul.
So I'm sitting there, and a voice spoke to me and said, "That's going to be your friend, and y'all are going to work together." Here I am, from season 12 all the way up here to season 17. I'm a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm a part of the community. I'm a part of this. And when I met RuPaul, RuPaul was like, T.S. Madison, I love your spirit. I love you. I love for you who you are. And I'm like, I knew that we were going to be in close proximity to each other since I was 14 years old. People have to know that when they hear something or they feel, Keke, you knew you were going to be a star as a kid. You knew this.
I did, actually.
You knew.
Yeah, I actually did.
You looked at that TV, you looked at the TV, you looked at whatever, and you said, they're not doing nothing that I can't do.
I watched Tia and Tamara, I watched Sister, and I said, I want to be in there. I want to be in there. I feel like I got something to say. I felt like I was always walking in my own movie. I don't know what that was, but I always just felt that was for me.
And I knew that I was going to, now I didn't know that come on now, come on. I may need to tag you in. I didn't know that I was going to have to go through, like a puzzle to get in there. But when I got in there and it happened, I just made it work for me. I don't want to go viral all the time, but it happens because I'm vocal, I'm raw, I'm unfiltered, I'm uncut. And wait a minute, I am cut, but I'm raw. But
you give me so much fucking life.
I didn't, I don't know.
You just didn't know. I feel the same way that you feel, because a lot of times people look at me, and obviously we both of us has made it into a corporate space, a very commercial space, but a lot of times I wasn't what I felt or what people thought I should be. I'm a black girl, dark skin. I got a accent to me, and the gag is, it's your girl. I never necessarily thought that people saw me in some of the spaces that I'm in, but I was going to be me regardless. And the funny thing, which I think is about when you're talking about it's good to see yourself or for representation to be there in all of its truth and authenticity, because it lets people know that even if there are walls up against you, even if there is a way that society tells you things should work, you can break through. Because what God has for you It's
It's for you,
always
honey.
going to be. It's
Yeah,
always
yeah,
going to be
bah.
for you. It's so true. And so I love what you're saying because it's like, yeah, maybe you didn't see it. You felt it. You didn't know how it was going to happen. But like you showed up as you and it was more than enough.
And and in the words of Tisha Campbell, I'm still
Still
here,
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 here.
here. Why did she eat
Kiki,
that?
let
Ooh.
me tell you something. I have honestly been blessed with coming from where I'm from, with the background that I have. I'm Tisha Campbell's my friend. I've met Tashina Arnold. You know, I love you. I've met you. You're my
I
friend.
love you too.
Lee Daniels, Nicki Minaj, Beyonce.
But T.S., there's something about you. There's something about you, your energy, who you are. When someone's around you, even when I'm talking to you right now, that my heart feels so pulled open. Like I just feel like I could say anything. What has been your life like that has allowed you to be this kind of person that can extend such a safe space to others? Because I feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that?
I think it's because, in a literal sense, I show up naked. And I want you to be the same. Hey, I don't come clothed. I don't come hiding anything. I don't come with the veil or clothes. I show up naked. So this is like, oh, bitch, you naked. Let me take my clothes off too and get comfortable, girl. And I think that that's the way it is with everybody. Like that's the way. When I walk in the room, yes, I have on clothes, but I'm showing up to you naked. I've told you, hey, I've done this, I've done that. This has happened to me.
But that's the thing right there, because your life has not been easy. I mean, you wrote your autobiography, A Light Through the Shade, in 2015. And I mean, this is what I want to get to is, because I think a lot of times people, we're all different. But a lot of times when we feel like our difference is the biggest difference in the room, we attach that to what we've gone through. Well, if this didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be this. If I wasn't such and such, then I wouldn't have these feelings. But the truth is, you are who you are, period. What was it for you? And that was big for me. Like, I was a kid when I experienced this. And I'll talk about it in my book, I Don't Belong to You. You know, I was essentially violated. And for a long time, I thought, how did that affect me? You know, is this why I'm this way? Is this why I'm that? Is this why I think this? Blah, blah, blah. And then I got to the point where I said, I'm me, regardless. I cannot attribute anything that makes me feel different, or I can't say that that's what's wrong with me when actually that's what made me who I am. Let me love me. Let me accept me, because that's who I am. This is not a blame. This is not a scar. This is what has made me who I am. So let me love that. And I see that in you. What was that allowed you to see those things that someone could say, oh, well, that's trauma and you need to change that and you need to fix that, where you said, no, I'm going to love that and be who I've become?
Well, because everything that happens to you to shape and mold you and to build the person that you are and because your life is already pre-planned on exactly who you are. All the scars and stuff that you receive are reminders of the things that you went through, so that you don't go through them again. And also so that you can help somebody else not to go through those things. For me, right now, I'm so glad that you said that. It opened up a window in my thoughts, even in this exact moment, the way that I perceived love and relationships. I've always felt that because I was a former sex worker, that now that I'm not in that life anymore, that I was going to be punished because I slept with other people's husbands or boyfriends or this and the other. And then I just recently had to tell myself, Madison, the men that you've been involved with that were bad men regardless, or were awful men regardless. It had nothing to do with what you did, because that was a path that you were given to change lives on the outside, so that people can see your life change. So don't blame that on this. It's the decision that you made with those men. You didn't vet them properly. There's the thing you didn't do.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
don't
you
think
couldn't
that
have.
you're being punished for the life lessons that you had to learn in life. Don't think that you're being punished for that. Like, accept it. That happened. You blossomed into something else, and just move on. And
Yeah.
so I'm learning now. I have to tell you this honestly, Kiki, in this moment, I'm learning now to reconnect to real emotions, real feelings, real love. Because
Mhm.
when I was a sex worker, I turned all of that stuff off.
Wow.
Love, emotion, feeling. I had to turn it off. I had no connection, no human connection. It was, this is all business.
Was that straight from the beginning, or was there a moment, or was there an experience where you realized you had to cut that off? Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. For me, growing up being an entertainer, I was very successful very early, and my
Yeah.
parents during that journey, I talk about this in my book, Master of Me, that's coming out in November, that they kind of dampened me a lot of times. They didn't mean to. They were just afraid. They wanted to make sure I didn't get out of control. And it felt really like almost emotionally abusive, I would say, where I just felt like, damn, like, can I just be me and can I just live? I'm just trying to be myself. I'm not trying to be bigger than you. I'm just trying to be me. And I remember one particular moment where I literally went so deep inside myself and I said, no one's ever going to know the real me. I literally remember this moment where I went so deep in myself and I said, you know what? I'm just going to perform who I am because I'm going to always protect that person inside that's not allowed to come out right now. So was there a moment for you where you realized, okay, I gotta protect me in this situation?
Maybe the first time that I was able to do the sex work or whatever, and then I was like, oh, I like this guy. And then, it was like, well, who are your friends? And this it's like, oh, wait a minute. So, this is okay, girl. Well, this is business, like you're an object. And everybody in here is an object. And this money separates all the feelings and the emotions. And so once that happened to me a couple of times, I turned it off. Like I was a complete off switch. And I have been disconnected from humans. Like I've been disconnected from, it's definitely men disconnected from being my managers, my assistants, right? They're now experiencing the newer side of me, because the old side of me was very guarded, was very, I don't trust you. You're a man, I don't trust you. Period. You're only here for what you need. You're only here to use me. You know what I'm saying? Let's do this business. I don't f- with you. You know what I'm saying? You can only give me sex and that's it. And money. I don't know anything else. And so now I'm operating from the space of, maybe you can love me. Maybe we can be for real friends. Maybe I can connect, communicate. Maybe you do. Maybe I do love you for real. Or you do love me for real. Maybe you want to protect me. Maybe, and you see me, you say, I'm
Yeah.
slowly blossoming out because I'm still saying, maybe you do. Okay, I'll give you a chance to do it.
Yeah. I think what we're talking about is that feeling of being dehumanized. Like me with my fame so early on, it felt very dehumanizing, even in my
Yeah.
family. And obviously doing sex work, that can be something that feels dehumanizing as well.
Yes.
How do you get to the point that we're talking about right now, where you are opening up? What was the process of that? How did you have to reframe that in your mind? You know what I mean? Like you said, you started with, hey, I'm not accountable for those guys' actions. I'm accountable for mine, but I'm not accountable for theirs. Like, what was the process of you starting that work?
It's allowing somebody to tap me on my shoulder or hold me in my face and say, ma'am, I really truly love you. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I am here for you. And to allow that to come in, like somebody grabbing you, holding you, shaking you, say, I fuck with you.
Yeah. It's
I'm
tough
not
though.
your enemy.
It's tough
I'm
though.
not your enemy. I'm your friend. I love you. I'm here for you. I'm here. I'm pouring out all I can on the table for you. I don't have any ill feelings or anything. I love you. So, and I have to stand and be like, okay, all right. And even if they make a mistake, I have to say, all right, it's a human thing to make a mistake. It's a human thing to make a mistake. They're not against you, Madison. They're not against you, Madison. It's a process. You know the
Yeah.
process
Yes,
of
I do.
returning back to humanity.
I want to just quickly touch on Beyonce's track "Cozy" because obviously I love Beyonce and that was an amazing moment. What the album represented. I mean, how
Yeah.
did you feel? I love that also she tapped you because of who you are. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I love that she, Beyonce, she getting it right. If I'm going to pay homage, let me make sure I point to the queens that have done it. And so
Yeah.
how did you feel being on that track? What was the experience like? And the feedback?
It was a mind-blowing experience for me. Mind-blowing on one end, the community loving it, and then on the other end, the community like, oh, her
Right.
girl, she ain't really she ain't worthy of that. Oh, and then to minimize it, oh well, she only used her voice for like a few seconds, and oh girl, she, all the minimal, like trying to like really minimize it and act as if like that it was not like a statement piece for our culture, for
Yeah.
our queer culture, for our Black culture, for our divine feminine, for all of this. Like, so you really. Okay. And then it's, minimalizing it. Oh, girl, it's, and you thinking,
Oh yeah, because nobody's ever going to be happy. It's always like that with everything, especially when you're a marginalized people. Like it's gonna always be like, damn, I can't never get it right. So I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's difficult.
But I lean more into basking in the greatness of what happened. And
That's right.
And when I sat back and I watched The World, I'll say this again for those that are listening. When I watched The World recite and stand in the proudness of them, of every hue of being Black, every area of being powerful, every space of just being, every color, every hue of Black.
Yeah.
Even when even the white people that stood up there said, "Bitch, I'm Black."
Okay.
They understood the power in being powerful in who you are and comfortable in my skin.
Yeah.
Cozy with who I am.
That's right.
And just standing in that, like the message meant so much. And to watch the world chant that all over the globe, I'm forever immortalized in that.
Yes, and I think it was just perfect in my opinion. Obviously, not
Yeah.
everybody's not going to be happy with everybody. Who this person, that person, that's But I did think it was amazing to have you on that song, and you represented it perfectly well.
Yes.
You really did.
Yes.
This conversation has been more than amazing. It's everything that I thought it would be, and I have to come to your show so we can really talk even more and get into even
Yes.
more things. Okay, this is part
Child,
one.
we
That's
gonna
going to
be
be
real
part
gritty.
two.
We ain't gonna have no time. We gonna be back here drinking alcohol. I'm gonna be over here shaking my bottle saying, get that sugar out of here. I'm gonna be doing all my dumb stuff that I do, girl. And
I
we gonna have a
cannot
good
wait.
time.
I
Yes.
cannot wait. Now, on my show, before I let my guests go, I always play a little game. And I mean, I think it's only right that I play The Gag Is with you. So basically, The gag is. So basically, I'll share a popular take on something, and then you share your hot take. Sound good?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So these aren't my opinions necessarily, but they're things people say. So here we go. Libras like balance, but the gag is.
The gag is we like balance, but baby, I'm into all the chaos that comes, baby. Baby, I'm gonna tell you something. You tip my scale over to the left, that calm, indecisive Libra gonna be focused on your ass. Okay?
Okay.
And the gag is you're not gonna be able to take the dark side of a Libra. Boom.
Now that's very true. Every Libra I know will close out the show if they have to. Okay, RuPaul's politically incorrect, but the gag is.
The gag is that's why RuPaul loves me, because I'm the outlet that RuPaul needs, because RuPaul is an older star. And
Okay.
she can't do the stuff. She can't do what I could do. She can't get on here and tell y'all to kiss my mother, ass, you tired, raggedy, dirty, foot shackling. She can't do that. But her daughter can and will get on there and tell them, if y'all ever think that y'all gonna fix y'all mouth to talk some kind of smack about my mama, I'm whooping y'all ass on live TV.
Yes! Ooh, yes, honey. Drag is just a trend, but the gag is.
The gag is, honey, we walk around every day up in drag, honey. You get up and you put your lipstick and your hair on. You put on your, and men definitely stay up in drag, honey, with y'all shoes and y'all watches and y'all fedoras and all the things that y'all put on, honey. So please get up off the drag queens when you a drag queen yourself.
Honey, because them little braids with the beads on them and all them
The
little
beads, the
ponytails.
braids,
and-
what
Come
they
on, take
said
that
over there, the
toupee
beads, the
off.
braids, and shells and things. You know?
Okay, with them little holes in the back. Anyway, Florida is trashy, but the gag is.
The gag is I'm from Florida, so y'all ain't told no lie. Bitch, I can be as trashy as I want to be. You ain't hear what Luther Campbell said, honey? And the gag is I'm not from Florida. I'm from Dade County, because that ain't even in Florida. I mean, it's in Florida, but it's by way of Florida. But that's the gag, and that's the gag is.
And this is the last one. Sex work is exploitative, but the gag is.
The gag is, honey, everybody been paid to do something. Baby, let me tell you something. The money ain't for the sex, it's for the silence. The money ain't for the sex, for you to leave.
Okay.
That's the gag.
And that is most definitely the gag. T.S., I love you. Down,
Yes.
down. You are
Down.
everything. You are so amazing, and I'm just so happy that I get to know you. Seriously.
Thank you, Queen. I love you. You know you my favorite. Let me tell you, on here, the gag is, honey, when you played that stud over there, child, you had my panties wet.
Okay.
I was like, girl, how she done got over here and turned into this whole stud over here like this? What she did? How she done turned into this whole stud?
Period. Okay. And the gag is that was me in true form.
Ooh, get the scrap. Get the scrap.
Okay.
You
are everything.
I love you, Kiki child.
I love you.
Listen, I know you got to go and do your thing. I love you, baby. I love you so much.
I love
And
you
this
too.
was
You were amazing.
This was amazing. This was amazing. When you get to Atlanta, hit a girl.
Oh, period. It's done.
All right, baby.
See you, boo.
Bye, y'all.
Baby, this is Kiki.